Hi, I'm Dianne Plummer and I'll be presenting on your online presence. So here's what I want you to do. Take out your phone, go on Google and search for your name. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to do that. What did you find? Well, we're going to get back to that in a minute. So for today's session, we are going to be talking about your online presence. We're going to look at what is your online presence, how to clean up your act once you've figured out what's out there, rebranding yourself, expanding your network, and then I'll be giving you some steps to follow. So firstly, where do you stand? Thoughts about that? When it comes on to your online presence, are you just freely giving out your data, posting whatever comes to your mind? Now, your online presence refers to all the activity and content that a person or a business has under their name on the internet. The internet is a very vast space. And of course, you don't want to just be putting out any and anything that is out there, right? So your online presence would include virtually your accounts, any assets, interactions, any piece of information that is created by or about a person or a business. And this was a definition that I found online. Now, how are you using your online presence to your advantage? What's your leverage? Now, your online presence is a part of your branding, right? And that would include your social profiles. So your Instagram, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, your Pinterest, all of those. Now, social media, of course, can have great personal benefits. You can network, you can find jobs, you can meet new people. It's all good stuff, right? Now, it is also a way for you to market yourself and to attract career opportunities and to position yourself as a particular expert in your field as well. Now, your online presence should be looked at as a part of your own online branding, right? It's a part of your personal branding. And of course, because of that, it can create valuable benefits for your career growth. So when we're looking at your online presence, you want to try and examine what you want persons to perceive you as, right? What's your core value? So your online presence should be looked at as a way to get people to see your core value and to understand what you really bring to the table. Now, you may be wondering what's your core values, and I've placed a few of them to the right, and it can be your commitment, your passion, your dependability, your honesty, loyalty, optimism. Are you a reliable person? Are you generally efficient? These are some core values. Now, your online presence is an opportunity to allow others to get to know a side of you and to build trust and connection in the virtual space. And because of that, they may eventually want to work with you. Now, we're going to talk about social media, right? And in this part of the session, I want to talk about cleaning up your act, really. Now, the first way to begin to clean up your act is to actually figure out what's out there. So remember when I asked you to Google yourself? What did you really find? Now, be honest. What does this baseline data say about you? What is the information telling you? Now, remember that having a professional online presence is important because it can bring up network opportunities that can help you to land a career job opportunity as well as it can help you to demonstrate credibility and to just maintain that that presence in the social sphere. So there are 3 steps that you can adjust your online presence. And of course, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. So the first one is audit, figuring out what's out there. The second one is trim, kind of cut back on the existing information if it does not reflect who you are as a person. And the third one is to take back control and to put out information that reflects who you really are. Now, as engineering students, there are lots of companies that are out there. And I recently saw a job application form, and it actually has a place for social media handles. Can you imagine that? So let's look at the very first step, which is audit. So there are several social media platforms. I have a few of them on the screen. You have your Facebook, your Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. Now, the first part is your audit. Is anybody out there? So the first thing you have to do is to find out what is really out there. Be honest and make sure when you're searching for that content, you look on it in a private browser, or you can use, an incognito search as well. Because once it is in this mode, you'll be finding all the generic information that if a random person is supposed to Google you, they'll find that. Also, you can set up a Google alert with your name so that you can get notified if any information is published about you online. And if you want to figure out how to do that, just quickly go do a Google search, or you can go on YouTube and you'll find that as well. So now that we've figured out what's out there, the second step is to trim, cut back on that content, especially if it does not reflect who you really are. So yes, remember that random Twitter rant that you did? Remember it? Okay, so we are emotional beings, right? We have emotions, and sometimes, you may want to vent, and persons may go on social media and they'll vent about, with a personal issue, something at work, something at school, your lecturer, right? So the best thing is to just go back through those old posts that no longer reflect who you are. It doesn't reflect your growth, and just delete them, right? You want to remove any content that may damage your reputation. Also, if you have some accounts on some shady websites, the best thing for you to do is to just remove yourself from those accounts. Now, if you're going to be deleting or deactivating these accounts, the first thing you need to do is to just delete all the posts, delete all the photos as well, because you don't want to go ahead and delete it. And if there are certain privacy settings that were there, or privacy things that you would have agreed to, these people may own your content and can post it. So remember, data is gold, and you may be oversharing. So sometimes you need to review the account permissions, right? When you're downloading these apps, what are you really agreeing to? Take a look at those privacy account permissions and see what you're really agreeing to. Now, another thing is to just make use of privacy settings. So all social media profiles have privacy settings that you can use to restrict posts. You can restrict who can view certain content. You can create special groups of persons who you want to view certain content as well. Now, who are you following? What posts are you liking? Remember, some of these content may not necessarily reflect good on you, and you don't want to put out this kind of negative information about yourself, because if you see, a video of somebody getting a beheading and you go ahead and you like it and so on, it reflects badly on you. So do an audit of who you follow, the posts you like, and remember, reviewing is iterative. So you might do a social media audit this month, maybe like in another 6 months, you can do another social media audit and delete some old posts, things that no longer reflect who you really are. Now that you have done an audit, you have trimmed your content, next step is to control. Let's take control of what we put out on social media. Now you can create your own personal brand, right? You can curate it. So it's always better to have a social media presence than none at all. I don't have a personal Instagram page, but I do have a LinkedIn, and I'm active on it from time to time. Now, you don't have to be present on all platforms, but whichever platform you're on, make sure that you're leveraging it so that you can be in a better position for your engineering career. So this way you can highlight your strengths, highlight your accomplishments. If you're on the Dean list, post it, right? Create this wonderful content that shows that you're a high achiever, right? If you were participating in some volunteering activities, you can share that content as well, because it shows that you're socially conscious and you're a helpful person. Now you want to show your authenticity and connect with your audience. So platforms such as LinkedIn would be good to do that because you are in control, and you can also develop a personal website. So now, as a part of control, it involves pausing and reflecting. And in order to create a bio, you need to do some kind of self-reflection, right? And you want to make sure that if you have multiple social media accounts, especially if you're going to be using it for professional aspect, you know, because you're in third year, final year, and you want to start positioning yourself to get jobs or business opportunities, then you want to have a bio that reflects who you are as a person and your work ethic, etc. Also, based on your social media, based on your LinkedIn, whatever it is, are you building authenticity? Are you showing who you really are as a person? Are you showing that, yes, you have a passion for civil engineering, you know, you keep talking about it, but then when I go on your social media, I don't see it, do I? Right? Or is your social media a reflection of your alter ego? If you notice, I have two faces on the screen, right? Is it that you are one person in this context and you're another person in this context? Is that the case? If you keep telling person that, yes, I'm all about sustainability, am I seeing that in what you do? Am I seeing that in your profiles? Let's think about that. Now, I want us to explore LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional networking site, and it was developed to help persons, of course, network, share their professional experiences, and find jobs. So if you follow a lot of these companies, you see that you would be notified when they have made a post. You can also set up alerts in LinkedIn for certain types of jobs in certain locations as well. So LinkedIn is a way to demonstrate who you are and aspire to be, and also a way to show your professional development throughout the years. Actually, now is the best time for you to actually create a profile. You know why? Because you are in university, and most of the persons here can be your future co-workers, can be your future boss, or future business partner. So now is the time to network. Develop your LinkedIn profile, start following each other, start following different companies, start following different content that you're interested in as well. Now, let us look at how to curate your LinkedIn profile. And what I love about LinkedIn is that you have the opportunity to be authentic. And sometimes when you see these LinkedIn posts, it can seem so inauthentic, right? So you might see something like, you know, ever since I was in the womb and I was surrounded by amniotic fluid, my interest in fluid statics and dynamics was sparked. And I knew that I was destined to be a fluid systems engineer. Come on, we've all seen those posts and we know that it is total BS. We know it. So when you're doing your LinkedIn profile, you're doing your bio, you're doing your post, be authentic. So on the screen, I have different sections of LinkedIn. And, you know, I want you to think of LinkedIn almost like a resume because it does have all the elements. So you can input your education, right? You can input the different schools that you went to because that would be another area for you to network. So if you're a KC old boy, you might start following the Old Boys Association, you network with other people, things like that, right? You can also show the different languages that you speak, right? Volunteer opportunities, even organizations that you may want to volunteer with, right? You can state that. You can also put your different clubs and societies because it shows that you're active in university as well. And of course, your honors and awards, right? So there's a section on the profile that you can put your honors and awards. So if you were on the dean list, if you got one of those chemical engineering awards, you can put those on your profile. Build up your LinkedIn profile because of course, guess what? Recruiters are going to check it out. Now, let's talk about the about section in your profile. So your about section is very important. And what I love about it is that in your about section, you can use it to form bits and pieces of a cover letter. It is also a personal bio. And guess what? If you don't have a personal bio, now is the time to start thinking about it, doing some self-reflection and start writing. Now, when I was doing my about section, I used 6 elements in there and I want to share that with you because I want you to build a stellar LinkedIn profile. So I wanted to use LinkedIn as an opportunity to let persons see who I am and to establish that virtual connection. So in LinkedIn, I have my core values, right? You'll hear me talk about, life is not linear. You'll hear me talk about building human connection, things like that. You'll see me talking about my key interests, sustainability, sustainable energy. I'll talk about what drives me. And of course, I'll give a summary of my professional and academic journey. Then there's a call to action. The call to action is, if you're interested in working with me or think we should work together, then send me an email. And I place my email address there because I want persons to be contacting me if a job opportunity comes up. So let's get ready to build our about section in our profile. All right, so that's the next thing you are going to do. Now, here are some other LinkedIn tips. So on LinkedIn, you can create a banner. You can put what you're interested in on it, right? So if you're a civil engineer and you love building design, you might want to put a picture of a bridge, or you might want to list out the different types of designs that you're interested. Also on LinkedIn, you can publish articles about topics that you're good at. You can write some articles, right? So if you're interested in, let's say, cosmetic production, you can write about that, right? If you're interested in, how fluids behave at high temperature and you've written some assignments on it, you can publish it too, turn it into an article. If you've done projects, and of course with the consent of your group members, you can convert those to an article and publish them. And of course, make sure you're giving credit to your group members, right? Also, follow companies and topics that you're interested in, right? So you can be up to date with content, up to date with what's happening in engineering, what's happening in civil engineering, what's happening in electrical engineering currently, okay? And of course, guess what? If you're on LinkedIn, connect with persons, send them a follow. It's not like it's on Instagram where, if you see somebody that you don't know trying to follow, you're like, who is this? And decline, you don't follow them, or you don't want them to follow you, right? On LinkedIn, you can follow persons, you can accept the requests as well, and you can use it as an opportunity to connect with persons. Another tip is don't keep your profile private. Recruiters are going to look on your profile and they want to see all that lovely information that you're going to be creating. Now let's talk about personal websites. Yes, I have a personal website. So a personal website is another way for you to create that content about yourself. It's like an instant portfolio. And so whereas on LinkedIn, they have these specific things that you have to put in your profile, on your personal website, it's all up to you. And it gives persons that instant, representation of who you are when they visit your site. So what you can do when you're creating it, you can use your first and your last name in your URL. And guess what? You can create your website yourself. I did it, right? I use WordPress and I made my personal website for myself. So I have my publications there, I have my job experience there, I have particular things I'm interested, I put my core values, all of these things. Now there are lots of platforms that you can use. You can build a Google site or something as simple as that. Most of us have a Gmail. So of course you can go ahead, you can build a Google site. I use WordPress for my website. There's BoldGrid, there's Wix, there's so many other platforms that you can use to create your own personal website and to create your own content. And guess what? This is a good way so that when person Google you, put in your name, oh, your website may pop up on the first page. And that's a good place to be. Now, what are the next steps? So what I would love for you to do is to do a social media audit. What is out there about you, right? Trim that content and then curate the content that you think would be beneficial for your engineering career. Write a personal bio. And to do that, you have to do some self-reflection. Think about, your core values, what drives you, what makes up your persona, right? And then you can use up all this information to create a LinkedIn profile and then build your network. Let's go, guys. You definitely got this. Now, our presentation is over and I'm open for any questions and comments. And guess what? Remember to add me on LinkedIn as well. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll be joining you now for about a couple minutes to answer your questions.